The city never sleeps, and neither do the dreamers who build its pulse. From every corner of the globe they come. Visionaries, creators, leaders, each carrying a spark ready to ignite the world. This is not an event, it's a revolution of rhythm and reason. A symphony of minds, a movement of momentum. Seafood on fire, Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance. This is the NYC Experience. Mastermind, light up the city. They coming from the east, coming from the west. Knowledge on deck, put the truth to the test. Leaders in motion, hearts in sync, dropping wisdom so deep it'll make you think. They bring stories, sweat and flame, different faces, one shared name. Elevation, that's the sound. NYC Experience Mastermind, where purpose is found.
Good morning, Lancelot. How are you, my brother?
I'm good. It's a great morning today. How you doing?
Absolutely. Exceptional. Getting better every day. And you know, that's my usual answer, brother.
Exactly. I like hearing it though. It starts my day off right
There you
here.
go.
Exceptional and getting better every day.
So first of all, I want to say congratulations on your movie, you know, The Veteran. I mean, wow.
Thank you, man.
Great stuff, man. I can't wait to see it. And I know that you just saw it. You saw the premiere. You were at it last week, right?
Yes. I think it's two weeks now. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks. The 12th, right? March 12th.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just an exceptional movie. I love the way the story was told. I didn't realize it was going to be told in that fashion. It went from present to past to really show you and document actually how this man went from being a hero to being homeless. So it was a poignant, powerful film, but just to see the work and all the preparation and all the work as an actor that everyone did, it was just a beautiful experience and excellent movie. And it's going to do very well. It's going to do very well.
It's very interesting that a lot of times the actors like yourself only get to see the movie at the premiere or at a special screening, right? Because you don't see all the work that goes behind everything that's happening. Because you come, you do your thing, right? And you do it well, by the way.
Thank you.
Good morning, Jose.
Good morning.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias, Jose.
Yes,
how are you?
All is well here. You guys?
Exceptional.
And getting better every day.
Yeah,
Every day.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. That's why I like hanging out with you guys.
Yes.
That's it. So we were just talking about Lancelot's movie that just came out and how even Lancelot didn't get to see it till the premiere. And I've been to so many. When I was younger, I used to go to a lot of premieres because I worked in the industry, right, in the movie theaters and so forth. And so a lot of times it was red carpet type of things. It was huge celebrities everywhere. And a lot of times when I would talk to the celebrities, they would go, yeah, this is my first time seeing the movie. Now all the cuts have been made. Everything's been put together. And they walk out of the theater like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Because the editor, the producer, everybody who put in all that hard work pays off, right?
Oh my God. It's you don't, well, you realize it because as an actor, all the different people that are involved. But you have the post and then you have the pre and the post. And the post production is a whole nother team of editors. And you have this one guy, Wilford LaSalle, doing everything. And when I tell you, you have to see the movie to understand what I mean. Just the narration of it, it was so powerful. And to see it and not expect what you were seeing and see it elevated to that level was just a beautiful thing. So I'm looking forward to you guys getting a chance to experience it like I did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I have to say here, first of all, huge congratulations, Lancelot. I mean, to be able to just be in a film, period, right, is a blessing, and it's an achievement. It's something very notable. When we say you're a celebrity, I mean you are a celebrity, which is pretty cool to say you know a celebrity, and not just know, but as brothers, right? You're amazing, and I really wish we could have attended your premiere, but I understand it's limited, and it's a special time, and just kudos to you, man. Much respect, congratulations. I haven't formally said that to you face to face, at least virtually, so this is face live.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, just so the audience knows, soon as when I have the lead in the movie, the second lead. So the director said, "How many tickets you need?" So the first thing I went to was, okay, my family, and then the two of you. So I was like 7, and he came back. You can't get 7 tickets. I mean, what do you think this is? So I said, well, you asked me how many I needed, so I automatically went to you guys and said, all right, you guys want to come to the premiere? And I gave out the number, and he came back with, I can't do that for you. So my apologies. But I want you to know that you guys were the first on the list, beside my family, to be at the premiere.
Love it.
Listen, the fact that you thought of us, man, blessings. So I felt blessed, that you were going to have us there.
Yeah.
But we were there with you in spirit, right? Because we understand the value of the work you've put in. So, and I think that really clarifies what the topic is today, is from one room to a lifetime of alliances, right? And that's basically what we're curating, right? We're creating a space for people to come to, and we call it a room, right? And it could be outdoors, it could be anywhere, it could be the meeting after the meeting, but it's the collaboration, the getting together, and it creates an alliance that could be lifetime, that can create abundance in your life, both personally and professionally. So I'm just so happy that you guys are here with me today.
Yes, yes.
So let's dive into it. It's quite a topic. From one room to a lifetime of alliances. I mean, that's exactly what it is, because a lot of us think, oh, we go to the room, to the event, to the conference, the summit, the boot camp, the workshop, and there's all kinds of names of things, right? The mastermind, and every name of a particular event has a certain kind of expectation, right? And when we say mastermind, we think high level, more intimate. We think deeper diving. We think round table. We think, and then you throw in the word experience. We think something bigger than just a meeting. Getting to lock arms with people in a more specific way. We think maybe some sightseeing or doing something outside of the actual room that we're in the whole weekend. We think some fine dining and so a little bit of experience along the way. So then you combine, Sifu Raphael, Lancelot, Theobald Jr., and Jose Escobar into the mix as the co-hosts that actually put this thing on. I mean, why would you not want to be in that room, right? So at the end of the day, it's like you go to that room and you have all of these ideas and expectations of what's going to happen when you put those two words together. And it's amazing because those kind of events, the more intimate ones that really bring people together in a deeper way for a whole 3 days, I mean, it truly does lead to lifetime alliances. I mean, there's no question that some of the closest people to me to this day are people that I met in a room of some kind when it came to business or networking or personal development. And that's how I met you, Sifu. That's how I met you, Lancelot, just to show from the top to the bottom. That's the reality. And we are lifetime alliances.
Right. And also to expound on that, I think it's important when you're in those rooms to do the work afterwards, which I understand now. And the work means you got to reach out. You got to have those extra conversations, because I call Tampa the genie in the bottle, because it was such a fantastic experience that you just don't get that again. It's almost like capturing the genie in the bottle. But after that, you have to do the work and follow up. And that's one of the things I'm learning is about the follow up. So it's one thing to take the selfie and get the numbers. There's another thing to take the selfie, get the numbers, and then do the work and contact. And I've been able to do that and have enhanced and established even more bonds with some of the people that I met that day. I have a show, so I've been having them on the show. I've been having extra conversations. And I think that is the other component to a mastermind that you have to talk about, is that follow-up after the event itself.
I 1,000% agree. You know, the room doesn't change your life. Your decisions in the room do. So the decision of taking the selfie, the decision of talking to the right person. And when I say the right person, everybody in the room could be the right person. But when I say the right person, is that you need to be intentionally involved in the conversation you're having with the person who's in front of you. Because if you're not involved in that conversation, then they're the wrong person, and so are you. So it's about that engagement we have to do in the room. And I believe that every time that we all had conversations, I saw you guys having conversations with people. I was having conversations, and they were intentional, right? It wasn't like, hey, what can you give me? It's more like, how can we get to know each other better?
Right. Right.
And you talk about the follow-up. The follow-up is critical because, listen, it was my birthday yesterday. So thank you guys for.
Oh, yeah, happy birthday. I gave you a shout on the Facebook. I said, but you're right. We should acknowledge
it. It's 3 times, Lancelot. I'm going to give my third because it's one time it's in our intimate group, the Sifu's Sifu's Mind Body Method, and then it's privately, and now it's publicly on the mass scale. So
yes, we got to make sure we take care of that. That's right. Happy birthday, Sifu. That's right.
Thank you.
Right.
Guys, he just turned 21. He just turned 21, guys.
That's right. That's right.
That's 25, but you know, that's okay. So what I wanted to say is that, and I got to make a little video for it. So many people reached out to me that I had lost contact with. I'm talking about people 30 years ago. So Facebook does a good job with letting people know who reached out and like, hey, Sifu. And they used to never call me Sifu. They used to call me Raphael, right? Because I branded myself, including on YouTube and LinkedIn and all this, to Sifu Raphael. They reached out and I was like, oh, now that's cool. Now I know that they still like me. So now I can continue that connection, even though it was such a long time ago. But the only reason I'm going to reach out is because I know it's a worthwhile connection that I may have lost. And so they found me. And so if they found me, they took the effort to wish me a happy birthday. I have to make the effort to reach out and say, let's continue this conversation. So sometimes a lost conversation doesn't have to be lost forever. We can always pick up the phone. I've hundreds, probably thousands of contacts on my phone. Do I reach out every week to somebody? I would be there for days. So no, I don't. And there are only a select few that I reach out regularly. But that doesn't mean that I don't like everybody who's on my phone, because if you're on my phone, I have a connection with you. Otherwise, I'm going to go through my phone and go, who on earth is this person? Delete. Right? Because if there's no connection, it doesn't mean anything to me or to them. So it's about keeping the connections we make in the room alive.
So true. So true. It's powerful connections are only powerful connections if they're nurtured.
Right.
Because and it's a two-way street. It takes two to tango, right? Just like an argument requires two people. They're like, oh, look at this person. How dare this person? I'm sorry, you're arguing with them. So you're part of the problem, right? Same thing when it comes to relationships. You have to be part of that solution, part of that good situation, right? It requires two people to reach out to each other, to check in on each other, to say, hey, how can I serve you? Hey, I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you. Hey, is there anything you need? Hey, I saw this on social media the other day. Know that I'm praying for you. You know, hey, by the way, I was talking to this guy over here, and he brought something up, and it reminded me of you, and I think he might be a great connection for you. I'm going to do an intro for you guys. Just want to let you know that. And you know, the list goes on. By the way, I'm going to be in town. I would love to say hi to you. Maybe get a coffee while I'm passing through. Hey, by the way, I see you're going to be in Maryland. I noticed on social media you're traveling to so and so. If you happen to swing by and you have some spare time, I'd love to treat you to a coffee and maybe get some lunch together. These are the things that go a long way, make a difference, and actually build a relationship. Relationships are not built on their own. It requires us to put in some work and effort.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And I love that, Lancelot. You always talk about proximity creates opportunity, but intention, true intention, creates great results, right?
Right.
Because listen, Lancelot, if I didn't reach out to you after we took that selfie, we might not be here today.
Right.
We may not have had all the different experiences that we've had. And in such a short time, you and I have had a lot of experiences together. Absolutely. And I'm very pleased about that. But it was the intention. And that's what created the results, because proximity is a good thing, right? You can be close to people, but if you don't keep that connection alive, it's not going to happen.
I like that. That's true. There's another level to proximity is power. Proximity is power, but you have to do the work afterwards, the connection. That's right. I do like that. It's a follow-up to the proximity is power. Absolutely.
It's the intention behind it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can add to that by simply saying, and a lot has happened since I met you, Sifu. A lot in a short period of time. A lot, Lancelot, has happened since I met you in Connecticut. And big shout out to Brandon Godoris, right? We love Brandon. Yes. Anybody who doesn't know Brandon Godoris should know Brandon Godoris from Warm Heart. He's stellar. So, but again, a lot has happened, just like Sifu said, since we met. But again, it was nurtured. Right. We've reached out to each other. We stay connected. We support each other. We endorse each other. We make an effort to maintain that. And keep in mind, as we're talking about rooms, right? The rooms is the entry point, is not the destination.
Right.
Okay. So when you go to these rooms, that's awesome. And yeah, you got into the room and you're meeting people. That is not the end all be all. That is not the destination. That is the entry point, not the destination, right? The destination is what comes after that. You know, as you start to build and nurture and, you know, that kind of a thing. Because anybody can attend an event, but only few know how to actually extract the value of a long-term relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's and here's the suggestion, right? Stop collecting contacts. You know how many business cards I used to go to events and I used to come with a stack and I used to put them away. And then later on, I was like, who is that person? And from all the business cards that I gave out when I used to have business cards, I don't remember people calling me and saying, hey, you know, I want to connect with you. So stop collecting contacts and start building true alliances. And so it doesn't matter where you meet a person. You have to make a decision. How valuable is your life? Who do I want to be in alliance with? Right? I know the three of us are in alliance, right? We're like the three amigos over here. And when you think about it, we built a relationship because we intentionally wanted to build it, right? But it's a constant thing. If I never reached out to Lancelot again or Jose again, and they reached out to me and I didn't answer their calls or didn't text, they were like, I think Sifu died. So that's not what I want, right? But so you got to keep that connection active. It's like turning on a switch, right? If you want light, you have to turn the switch on.
Right.
You turn the switch off, there's no more light. So you got to keep that current going, right? Otherwise, there's no light. You're going to be in a dark room.
Also, in order to keep that current going, you have to be willing to do the work. Now, it's one thing to reach out and make those contacts. It's great to have meetings, but it's the ongoing work that has to be done consistently in order to nurture those relationships. That's very important, and that's not really talked about. This is working because we are doing the work. We haven't stopped doing the work. You know, it's just like this show here. This takes consistency. This takes each Tuesday making this priority and not making excuses. There's many times you can make excuses of why I can't be here at 7 o'clock. I'm too tired, or I have this, I have that. But the important thing is that and good morning to Leon. How you doing? She's a part of the family. But the important thing is to make it priority. So once you make those connections and you build those alliances, then you have to make those alliances priority, and you have to be willing to do the work consistently, because it's the small intentional things that you do that make massive shifts. So because we've made the connections, don't misunderstand that it takes work in order to establish and nurture relationships that birth businesses or birth things. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to add to that there's that next component, and it's that doing the work is very important.
Since we're adding to things, I'm going to add to that too. That was a good point, Lancelot. Well, very well said. There's an important concept to really observe from afar and then embrace close to the chest, which is depth over volume, right? Because you don't need 100 business cards, 200 business cards, 50 business cards, right? I have a whole slew of these things to this day that continue to build here because people hand them to me, right? And you know, will I look at them? If I'm absolutely bored and have nothing else to do, then I might. But typically, I just don't do that. I do the things on the spot. Hey, let's get friends on something. Card, blah blah blah, the whole thing, right? So again, you don't need 50 business cards. What you really need is 3 to 5 relationships that are actually going to move your needle, right? And 3 to 5 relationships that you can pour into, right? Because the more you give, the more you get, right? So it's not about what can I get, it's about what can I give and how can I serve this person. And reciprocity is a real law, right? People will reciprocate and they will give back to you. So I will tell you again, to clarify depth over volume, it's not the 50 business cards. It's the 3 to 5 real, authentic, genuine relationships that are going to move your needle. Because one strong alliance, which is what we're talking about today, one strong alliance, folks, will outperform 100 weak connections.
Absolutely.
Right.
And exactly, that's how I feel too. You don't need more people in your life. You need the right people in your life. And when we talked about time earlier, the right room is going to collapse time. It's going to, and this is why I love coaching so much, because the right coach, and I said the right one because there's a lot of wrong ones, the right coach is going to
Bring out the best in you.
Condense time for you. So if you do it on your own, it's going to take you 2-3 years. If you do it with the right coach, it could take you, a couple of months. So who doesn't want the right coach? I want the right coach every single time, and it's important. I've spent, we all have, on the right coaches, countless thousands of dollars. I probably spent way over $100,000 on coaching, and continually do so. And if I don't do that, why would anybody want to have me as their coach or as their trainer? It would be silly. So even an alliance with my coach is important. Because if I don't connect with my coach, that's the wrong coach for me. So it doesn't matter how we align or how we have this alliance, but it has to be strong. It truly, truly does.
Mhm. And I remember the first time I heard this, Jose said it. He said, I don't want a coach that doesn't have a coach. To me, that kind of blew my mind because I never thought about that. Like Tony Robbins has a coach. All coaches have coaches, and you don't want somebody that doesn't have a coach coaching you, which I found to be very fascinating when I first heard that, is that every coach has a coach.
Yeah, I had a guy a long time ago. Well, not that long ago. This was like maybe a year, no, 6 months into building CLA, right? Connected Leaders Academy. And there was a guy, a member who joined my community. And he will remain nameless, right? But the guy joined. He's not part of my group anymore. He lasted like 3 months, right? And then faded away into the ether. And I don't know where he is today. But great guy, nice guy. But he came into the CLA and he wanted to. From the way I interpreted how everything transpired, he really just joined to eventually get me as his client. Right, like that's the reason why he joined. He really was trying to appease me, build a relationship with me, so he can then get me to sign up for his coaching, right? And so the guy was like, yeah, had multiple conversations with me, and initially he positioned it with me as like, hey, I'm just gonna love to get on virtual coffees to take advantage of my 30 minutes with you once a month, whatever, blah blah blah. But what he was really doing was like priming me to see what I need, so he can then say, hey, I do this and we should work together, blah blah blah. So every time we would talk, it was not about how I could serve him. It was like him prodding me to get information out of me so that then he can say, oh, I do this and this is how I do it. And I'm a sales guy from one to another. I'm like, listen, I know exactly what you're doing. You're not pulling any wool over my eyes. I mean, I know exactly what you're doing, but whatever. So I just went with it and I just, appeased him. And then sure enough, within, I think it was month 3 on our 3rd call, he says, yeah, I think we've established already at this point that there's a need, that, you're looking to do this and this is what I do. And I can certainly, help you with that. And, not that I was looking to get you as a client or anything like that, but I think in this case, it just makes sense. And, so he started saying the right things. And I was just like, well, I already knew you were doing that from the very beginning, but I'm not going to tell you that. So I just said, yeah, no, I'm okay. I think, and then he started going more and more and more. Now I respected the fact that he had the confidence and the energy and a certain level of skill set to say, hey, let's do this. Right? I respected that. So was I open-minded to the possibility? Sure, because some of the things he said would be of value to me. Some of it, most of it, no, but some of it, yes. Right. And then I asked him a simple question. I said, okay, this all sounds well and good, but whenever I hire a coach, I have some pre-qualifying questions for them. So if this is what you're trying to position yourself as a potential coach for me, which I'm not looking for, by the way, and just food for thought between me and you is never try to sell something to somebody who doesn't necessarily need it, right? You got to make sure the shoe fits. Like if you're going to sell a doorknob, sell it to a homeowner, not somebody who's renting a house, right? So so it was just that I said that kind of like in passing, and then I said, so let me ask you the first qualifying question. And based on this answer, I have maybe 7 or 8 more questions. And if all of them are checked, then I'll reconsider and I'll think about whether I actually do want to invest some money with you or not, right? And question number 1 was, who is your coach right now? I said, who is coaching you right now? And it was like you could hear crickets and like a pin. And he said, well, no, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. And usually when people say that, it's because they're thinking about what they're about to say. He said, that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. It's very intuitive of you. It's very thoughtful of you to ask that question and he's like thinking, what am I going to say now as he's saying all these nice things to me? And he says, well, to be real, because I'm an honest person, it's important to be direct and honest. I don't have a coach. because frankly, what I do, and then he started going down this long-winded answer that to him mattered, right? But to me, it just told me the simple thing that I'm looking for. If you don't have a coach, what you're telling me is that you have arrived, that there's nothing else for you to learn. And typically when somebody is at that I think I've arrived level is when you actually start to learn, because the reality is there is so much that you don't know. And the minute you stop learning, you start to become stale as a coach, right? So I don't want to hire a stale coach. I don't want to hire somebody who I know is less than half empty and is trying to fill up my cup. Like, no, I want to know that you are doing what you're expecting me to do.
Right. You're
If
doing
you
the
want me
work.
to hire you, but you don't hire somebody else, I don't believe in that. So that's kind of where that ended. And I said, well, I think I've answered it. I've asked you enough questions. And he's like, don't you have any other? I was like, no, because you had the first answer to my 7 or 8 questions already is a red flag for me. And I said, nothing against you personally. It's just that's just one of my requirements is that if I'm going to hire a coach, I need to have a coach. He was kind of shocked that I very quickly said I'm not interested. And I said, but hey, listen, you joined the CLA for these reasons, not to hire me or not to have me hire you. You joined because of all these other things based on what you said. So all of those other things are still here. It turns out the next month he canceled. So I was like, well, I know where your heart was, and it wasn't in the right place, that's for sure.
Well, because of that particular question, you were able to assess the situation. And I agree 1,000%. If I've never met a coach that I wanted to work with who didn't have a coach. And the same thing goes for me. If I can't, tell you about my coach, I didn't learn all this on my own. And there's nothing wrong with learning. You can go YouTube everything, right? But there's nothing like somebody saying to you in person or over the phone or over a Zoom, if you have a Zoom coach or if you have somebody who you talk to on a regular basis, this is what I've done. This was what has worked for me because they've done it, right? And they have proof of it. So for me, you can say all you want. Show me the proof. Show me the pudding, right? I want to taste that thing. So for me, that's important. And so even like I said, with a coach, I need to have an alliance. I need to know that a coach actually has their interest and their heart set on me winning. And that's the same way I treat my clients. I don't want my clients to be less than me. I want them to win over me. I want them to have more success than I've ever had. I just had a conversation with 2 of my clients yesterday. They're both surgeons. And one of the things that I said to them is the impact that I want to make in your life is so that you succeed way more than I ever would. And they're like, that's the first time anybody said anything like that to me. And I said, because I believe in you. And if I didn't believe in you, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. And these are high-level surgeons. One is a brain surgeon, and he married another one. I don't even know what kind of surgeon she is, but they were like, wow. And I said, because that's the only way I know how to give, right? It's the only way. So when it comes to aligning with somebody, I believe that your heart has to be in it. And like Jose said, you can't have this fake stuff. You have to be real, and you have to be willing to go through all the different things that we do as coaches, as mentors, as a coachee, right? Somebody who needs to be coached. I don't know everything. Jose doesn't know everything. Lancelot doesn't know everything. But do we want the wrong coach? I know I don't. right? Lancelot continually goes to classes to become a better actor. Why does he do that? Because he's the best actor in the world. Yes, you are. To me, you are, right? But we just said no. And that's where the growth comes in, where you keep challenging yourself. And that's where aligning yourself in the right room is the room that's going to help you meet the people who want more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want, and like Jose said, I don't want people who have everything and they have nothing else. They're in the penthouse all by themselves. I don't want that. I don't want to go to an empty room.
You know, also, to me, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way, learning is living. Learning is growing. That's what life is all about. I mean, when do you stop learning? When you die, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm just getting started. And every day is so exciting to me because every day is an opportunity to learn a little more than you learned the day before. So I have this saying that I say every morning: I'm not who I was, I am who I am meant to become, because I'm doing the work today to become who I want to be tomorrow. So whatever I had learned yesterday, that was yesterday. I'm already moving on. And to me, that's what living in life is about. And when you surround yourself around other people who have that same mentality, it's that vibrational and frequency energy that we talk about all the time. It's quite.
We lost Lancelot for a second.
Yeah. He'll hop back on, I'm sure.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
It's you for a second, brother.
It's exactly what I think Tampa, as we go back to Tampa, did. Was it recharged the battery pack. You got around people who love to learn, people who love to grow, people who are thirsting to move forward in any way and shape possible. And it has a certain vibrational energy that comes attached to that. And when you get in a room full of that energy, it charges you. And you walk away from that with a positive energy that can take you forth for the next couple of months. So learning and growing for anybody that's watching should be something that is a part of your DNA at this point. And if it's not, start to infuse that into your life, because you're not retiring, you're just getting started. And that's what I talk about, is reinvention. At any age and stage of your life, you can make the choice and decision today to reinvent yourself and have the certain systems and structures that you put into place where you can be something that you weren't ever even thought about being, just by doing the work, and then also surrounding yourself around like-minded people who are thinking the same way you are.
I got to tell you, I don't think anybody left Tampa the same person that when they first walked in. And if anybody did, they missed it. They missed it.
Right.
If you were in that room, you walked out somewhat different.
Yes.
I've had great conversations with some of the people that were there. And some of them were like, oh my God.
Yes.
This room changed the way I think. This room had me even think about my life differently, my purpose. People changed their dynamics because of what happened in that room. Now, can we tell you exactly what happened in the room? No, it's just like I can't tell you about the great steak I had for dinner for my birthday, right? I can't tell you. You can't taste it. I would have had to give you a little piece, a little bite.
You have to experience it, yes.
But you have to have the experience. And guess what? Atlanta is the next time that you can come have that experience with us. So if you're interested in joining us in Atlanta, September 25th through the 27th, once again, 3 days. Now, when we get into that room, it's not just about being in the room with a bunch of people, because you can do that anywhere. You can go Grand Central Station and get into that room, and there's people all over the place. You can walk into a restaurant, there's a ton of people in there. You can say hi to people, but it's not the same thing when everybody in the room goes there with an intention of growth. I think that's one of the things that we've been able to do with the New York City Mastermind Experience. It's a room for growth. It's a room to expand your horizons in ways that you may never have thought. You may meet the person that you never imagined you would meet, because we do bring people from all walks of life. People who've experienced things differently. People you need to talk to. People you need to make an alliance with. So who is ready to join us in Atlanta? Because we are teaming up with Coach Theo Clay, and that's his stomping ground. And you know, he used to come to, he loves New York. He used to hang out in Brooklyn and all these cool things. But his stomping ground now is Atlanta. The man is going to show us around. We're going to have some incredible times. I'm sure it's going to be incredible meeting after the meeting after the meeting. And sometimes we've even had morning meetings before the meetings. So we have all kinds of opportunities for everybody to align themselves with the right people.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm going to say is join us in Atlanta.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, surprise, surprise, we're going to have Lil Jon, Outkast, all of the rappers in town for this. I'm just kidding. Would be nice, but it's gonna be, I love Atlanta. I've been there a number of times. It's just a great place to be, and we're gonna bring something special for that weekend. Now, I gotta say that it's in September. You know what that means, everyone who's watching? Plenty of time
to plan. That's right.
Plenty.
Save your shackles.
Yes, the runway to take off for that is long right now. So now is the time to say, you know what? First step one, I'm going to buy my ticket. Okay. Then you have all the other steps. Okay. I'm going to probably need a flight, maybe a train, maybe driving if I'm within driving distance. But I need to make those arrangements. And then I'm sure there's going to be a room block with a hotel, whatever the case is. We'll see what that looks like. And we're going to do that. Right. And then, of course, I need to make sure my schedule is blocked off. All the other little details. I need to make sure I might need babysitting, or that I'm getting the right permissions, and I'm doing all the arrangements, and I have the financials to be able to enjoy myself while I'm there. Like all of those other things that come with events. And trust me, I know, I just came from one this past weekend in Orlando, Florida. Was it easy to go? No, because it cost a few grand to be in that room. That was a higher end weekend kind of experience, a men's retreat. It was in Orlando, Florida. That required a flight, and so on and so forth. Right, time away to make sure my wife's okay with the kids and all sorts of things. And prior to that, 2 weeks before that, I was in Tampa, Florida for the event that we had. So I understand. I'm not somebody who's telling you to do something that I don't do. Or if I was, then don't listen to me. Okay. But I'm just telling you, this is what it takes. And now is the time to say, I'm going to make the arrangements. Step one is I'm going to buy the ticket, and then I can reverse engineer how I'm going to get there. So one final thought, and that thought is, and this thought, if you digest it and think about it, can change your life.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you're ready. I'll give it a second. I'm building the excitement here. This thought, when it was delivered to me, it was like completely blew my mind. I don't remember where it was delivered to me, but it was at an event. Go figure. And it's, your next level is not hanging out in your current circle. No. You know what that means? Why do you think Connected Leaders Academy brings in about a member and on average a day, Monday through Friday? Why is it that we're always bringing in amazing new people? Because if I just had the same people in the group and we never decided to expand at a real level, then eventually it's the same circle. And usually usually if the circle is not about growing and becoming better, and it's not consistently doing that, then eventually the circle is full of the same opportunities, right? And if you're part of a circle in your life with friends and family and certain people that are not about what you're about and where you want to go, then again, a circle can get stale if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
And you look up and 10 years went by and you're in the same circle. Sometimes your next level is outside of the current circle, which means you have to constantly get into other rooms to expand the opportunities and to build the right relationships and to position yourself to win in a way that you're not doing right now. And that's why we have created the NYC Mastermind Experience in Atlanta, Georgia, September 25th to the 27th. Get there, folks.
Big shout out to Danny Z and Mo. I just saw came on. So big shout out to y'all. What's up?
Yeah. I agree with you 1,000%, Jose, because your next level is already in a room you haven't even walked into yet.
Yeah.
Because the relationships that you can build tomorrow, you don't know today what they are. So relationships, real good ones that are worth aligning yourself with, they're not random. You have to build them with intention, just like the three of us have built our relationship, right? With intentionality, with the follow-ups. Where most people fail and they lose opportunity is they don't do a follow-up. Maybe you see somebody at an event, you go, yeah, I'm going to call you next week. Next week, crickets. So people don't just buy into what you say, they buy into what you do and who you are and who you become. So to become the person you want to be 30 years from now, start taking the actions today. Don't wait 30 years to become that person. Because that doesn't work for anybody. I've never seen it, right?
You know, Seafood, there's the other side of that coin you just said. Very important to know. Yes, you have to be the person that if you say, hey, I'm going to reach out to you next week, you're going to reach out to that person next week. You have to be the person that says, hey, let's stay connected. You know what? Here, let's get our information. You know, I'll connect with you and we'll touch base in the next, 2 days or 3 days or by Friday, whatever. You have to be that person, right? And actually follow through. But you also have to be the person on the other end, where if you say, hey, we should connect, or yeah, I look forward to hearing from you, or whatever the case is, and the person reaches out to you, you can't ghost them, right? You got to also reciprocate and say, hey, thank you for reaching out. Let's connect, blah, 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 blah. Because it's amazing how people, when they meet you in person and they shake your hand, they talk to you and they look you in the eye and you feel that connection, then you follow up with them and you can't get a hold of them. It's like what's going on? I mean, are we in this thing or not? Are we serious about building a relationship or are we not? And I have learned a valuable lesson, and that is you can't push a wet noodle, right? If somebody's wet, I just stop pushing the wet noodle, right? I just move on to the next person who actually values the idea of maybe establishing a long-term relationship. If you don't want it, I don't want to want it more for you and for us than you want it for you or for us, right? So I just move on, right? I do give people a couple of, opportunities, of course. I'm not just going to, reply to me, I'm done. No, you have to give grace. You have to know people are busy and distracted and not everybody is as responsive as you might be, right? You can't expect other people to be you. But at the same time, there is something called a reasonable time frame to reply or to be responsive. And it's 3 strikes and you're out. 3 strikes of me trying to reach out to you and make a connection. And if you just don't reciprocate or you show no interest, then your actions speak so loudly, I don't have to hear a word you say, and I just move on.
It's interesting. I had, like I said, yesterday was my birthday, and I had somebody who I continually had tried to reach, and they ghosted me. Okay. They reached out to me, not through Facebook, not through anything. They reached out through a private message. And they didn't just say happy birthday. They said all these things. I was like, oh, interesting. So maybe they ghosted me because something was going on in their life. So I always give people the benefit of the doubt. But now that they reached out, now in my heart, I have that obligation to reach back out because I don't know what they were going through. So sometimes I don't mind reaching out a fourth or fifth time later on, and just to say, hey, maybe they were going through something, right? Because a lot of times I will reach out to people who I told I was going to reach out to, and they don't answer. So one of the last messages I always say is everything okay? Reach out if you need anything. And so, because that's the kind of person I am, right? I believe in God. I pray every day, and if you need prayer, I will pray for you. And so it's important for us to come with energy where we introduce ourselves to another human being, to speak our truth of who we are, not to come with a facade, if anything, right? So I believe that when we create these rooms for people, we want people to come and be authentic in the room.
That's the word I was looking. Yeah.
You're welcome. Because authenticity is hard to come by nowadays. Because so many people, listen, and I'm not calling anybody out, but there was a movie, I think it was the Kentucky Fried Movie, where a woman and a man, they finally get into a room and they're sitting at a table across from each other. And he says, I got to be honest with you. And I don't know, he takes his prosthetic leg off or whatever. And then she takes her wig off and they start taking things off. And it's kind of funny because they showed up as to who they thought other people wanted to look like. But in reality, they were okay with who they truly are. So when you come to our rooms, we ask you to be you. Don't get me wrong. Listen, I don't know if anybody's going to dress up better than Lancelot, right? But he comes authentic. That's just a way he likes to present himself. I present myself differently than Jose presents himself. Jose presents himself differently than we do. But we're authentic. And when we enter a room, one of the things, and everybody really found out in Atlanta that I'm a hugger, right?
In Tampa.
In Tampa. They're going to find out in Atlanta too, because I don't come and not be authentic in that way. So we encourage you to come to a place where people are going to be authentic. And when there's growth that's going to happen, both personally and professionally. Because somebody reached out to me the other day and said, thank you for the room that you created. I'm like, I was a little taken back. And they said, you've changed so much for me in 3 days that I now have people wanting to work with me. I said, it's my pleasure. I hope to see you in Atlanta too. So they'll be there.
This word authentic and authenticity, some people might not really understand, because as I listen to it, I love that word, being authentic. But some people might not really understand what being authentic is or how to be authentic, because they've been walking around with specific masks in order to be able to identify with specific groups at specific times. And you wind up having these different masks that you put on that you might not even know authentically who you are. And I would say to those that, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like that, and it's nothing wrong with that. But I think a part of being authentic is understanding who you are as an individual without the masks, what you want, and then also working each and every day a little bit on yourself and working on moving yourself forward, working on bettering yourself, working on your emotions, working on your thoughts, so that you can then understand what being authentic is, or what authenticness is truly is. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that really don't even know who they are authentically, because life forces you to wear masks in order to get through the day. You know what I mean? So I would love one day to have that conversation about what is authenticness. How do you know when you are authentic? What can you do to be authentic? You know what I mean? That's a question for another day, because that's a whole show within itself. But we throw that word authentic around, and I'm sure that there's some people that really want to know what does that mean.
I want to touch really quickly, because you made me think of something that I saw as a funny skit. There was people on an airplane, and the pilot came on and said, "We lost both our engines. We're going down. So take this moment, call your loved ones." And one person calls their loved ones, "I love you so much." And then somebody else goes, "Wait a minute." And they start cursing somebody out. This one's like, "You." And so all this nastiness started to spew out of the plane. People were like, "Oh, I'm going to call this one." And there was so nastiness, but there was still some love in the plane. And then the pilot said, "Kidding, April Fools." And everybody made all this. They came out to show people who they really were and how they felt. And so the other people on the phone found out how they felt about them. And in that one instance, they became authentically who they were meant to be. All the things they bottled up. So don't bottle up who you are. If somebody in your life is not treating you right, tell them. Don't wait. Tell them. Right? And if somebody in your life needs to hear that you love them, don't wait. Tell them. Right? So, and you know I love you both. So there you go.
Yeah, I love you guys too, man. You guys are just amazing. And it's funny because when I say that and my wife walks through, I'll say, "Who were you just talking to? I heard you say." So anyway, yeah, being authentic is about just being real, just being genuine, just not like inflating who you are or shrinking who you are, right? You don't have to, because there's two sides of it. You know, a lot of us bring measuring sticks to events of who's bigger than who's been doing this longer, who knows who more people, who has more certificates around this thing that we're talking about. You know, like, forget the measuring stick. And it's not about, there's two sides of the coin, because some people, what they do is they inflate who they are, and they try to make themselves seem more than they really are in terms of success and all kinds of things to people for whatever reason. Maybe it feeds their ego, or maybe whatever the case is, or maybe they just want to make them feel better than other people. And then there's a person who shrinks themselves as well, where they're not real about what they actually have done and what they do and how they show up in the world, and they kind of minimize who they are so they don't come across as cocky or like whatever. And or like they're perceived like, "Oh, this person thinks they're all that," because they know. So there's two sides of the coin. There's a way to let people know, "Hey, this is who I am. This is how I show up. This is what I've done. This is what I'm about," without coming across as cocky and not shrinking yourself. And then there's also the way to show up where you're not like trying to elevate yourself all the time and trying to, everything that comes out of your mouth is, "Look how great I am," right? So there's a healthy balance to the two, right? You got to just be real, be genuine, be down to earth. And authenticity goes a long way. And I think when somebody's authentic, you can just feel it. You can see it. You can sense it. It's oozing out of their pores. And as somebody like me, I wouldn't say I'm an intuitive, but I have great intuition. I can just tell when somebody's faking it, right? When somebody's just BSing me or is exaggerating, or they're really minimizing themselves because they're trying to be humble. And you know, and there's nothing wrong with being humble, but sometimes people are trying to be too humble, and they just don't tell people what they need to hear about themselves. Like, if you didn't tell me, Lancelot, like, "Hey, I'm a movie star," Like, there's a humble way to say it. Hey, yes, I'm an actor, right? You can say I'm an actor, or you can say I'm a movie star. You know, I perform in I was a lead role in an Amazon film, right? If you were to tell me that, the reality is, guess what's going to happen with me? I'm going to lean into you a bit more, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this person is a movie star. Like, tell me more about that, right? Now you say I'm an actor. Well, actors, there's a lot of people that are actors, but there isn't a lot of people that are movie stars, right? So there's like a gap there. And when you're talking to people, there's a way to just be real and tell people what you really are without coming across as, look how great I am, a movie star, right? So it's just knowing that fine line of just being real and genuine without trying to, do this to yourself.
Yeah.
Bring yourself here. So
I still think it's that is an incredible conversation to have. What it really is. As I'm listening to you, there's so many different components and variables involved with being authentic. And that's a class, because I'm telling you, there's people out there that don't know and have no idea what being authentic or how to show up authentically. So you just raised something that I would love to expound on, because I'm sure that's information that people need to hear and want to hear. How to be authentic. It really is.
Lancelot just told us what our next week's episode is going to be based on.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating to really dive into that.
You're in next week.
Yeah.
Well, I want to, I know it's top of the hour already, and the time flies when you're having fun and you're conversing with incredible human beings. But in closing, I really would like to have everybody consider this, right? The next 5 to 10 years. And if you don't think that far ahead, what are you doing? The next 5 to 10 years. You can shift your life by getting into the right rooms. Maybe even one room. Not because of chance. Not because, by accident I got into this. No. But because of who you decide to become in that room. In the next 5 to 10 years, who are you going to become? Because maybe you went into a certain room. So the real question is this. When the opportunity shows up, will you be in it? Will you take action? So we're asking you to come join us in Atlanta, September 25th through the 27th. I can guarantee that you will not be the same person if you join us for all 3 days. You're going to walk in one person the 25th. You're going to come out the 27th, a totally different person. But then also think about, will that room help my journey in 5 or 10 years? If the answer is no, then we won't see you there. So you make a decision. I know I'm going to be there. I know Lancelot's going to be there. Jose's going to be there. And so many other incredible people are going to be there. The question is, will you?
Will you be there? Will you be there?
Yeah, and I'll just leave one little final thought in my mind as we go, because I know we have to go. At least I know I do. But I can tell you, the room that we're creating here in Atlanta, Georgia, is going to introduce you to some people. That's awesome. What multiplies your life and your business are the alliances. And I have yet to see one event that we put on where alliances weren't built that walked out of that weekend. So if you want more strategic, intentional, powerful alliances that are going to multiply your life personally and professionally, we are creating the right rooms, very curated in a way specifically to create that environment, that ambiance, that result for you. We want you there.
Amen. Amen.
Everybody, God bless. And next week we're going to talk about authenticity, because Lancelot demands it, and I love it.
Gentlemen,
God bless everybody.
have a great week. Good talking to you guys.
Yes, sir.
Super excited. It was such an amazing experience speaking, and I'm so energized and excited.
Everyone brought the energy, the motivation, and the tools to actually implement to accelerate as a business owner.
I'm really happy to hear the New York Experience. We just had some of the speakers come up and they were fantastic.
Awesome experience. The quality of people and the quality of the speakers were truly inspirational.
Let me just tell you, the impact in the room, the energy in the room was unbelievable. If you miss this event, there's another event coming up in Tampa. You don't want to miss that event.
It's a revolution of rhythm and reason, a symphony of minds, a movement of momentum. Lancelot, Jose Escobar. Together they set the stage for brilliance.
Sifu Rafael with the New York City Mastermind Experience. I am here with Lancelot and Jose. We're taking it to Tampa.
Real excited to bring our New York City experience to another state. Tampa, watch out, because here we come.
Get your tickets today, folks. We want to see you in Tampa, Florida. Again, NYC Experience in Florida. Get there. Get your tickets now. We'll see you there.
Elevation, that's the sound. NYC Experience Mastermind, where purpose is found.